friends, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be walking you through the budget book that is listed on my Etsy shop, and I will be linking my Etsy shop down below, so if you're interested in this, you can go and purchase it. It's currently at a low price, and I will be raising the price eventually, so go ahead and get it if you want it for the discounted price that it's up for right now. Okay, so I have a slightly new setup today. I am upgrading my planner systems a little bit. So you'll see the same cover that I've always had on my planner, my budget planner. And this is an ARC notebook cover that I got from Office Depot, and I will link it down below, either on Amazon or Office Depot, whichever one I can find it on, because recently I went back and I could not find it. So I will link what I can find down below. I used to have plastic ARC notebook rings on it, but I recently upgraded to the Happy Planner metal expander discs, so I will also link these down below. I really like them. The metal is so much better than the plastic, and my pages turn a lot easier than they did on the plastic ones, so this was so worth the upgrade. So I'm really happy with those. So I'll link those down below as well. So this is just what I use. My planner it comes letter size. I found that just to be easier because one, you get more space, and two, you don't have to adjust anything before you print it. You just print it, you're not wasting paper, you use the whole page, all of that. Another thing I did with my planner is that you have really good margins on both sides. So if, say you decided to switch up the layout of your pages, you could hole punch on this side or on this side. So if you wanted this page to be here, you have plenty of room here to hole punch it. You can switch up which side you want your page to be punched on, and that is basically to help with anyone who wants a double-sided planner. I did that because when I downloaded the Budget Mom digital download of her planner, there is a single-sided and a double-sided option, and the double-sided had the order already determined for you, so you couldn't pick and choose which pages you wanted because there was a bigger margin clearly on one side than the other, and I just didn't like the way it looked if you switched it up. So I wanted to make sure you could print out any page with either side being able to be hole punched, so that is why I did it that way. So when you get it, the first page is going to look similar to this, not quite the same. It's going to say Intentional Living Budget Book, and then it will have my little motto down here, so that you will have included if you want to print that and put it as either like a cover. You could laminate this, and this could be your cover. You could slide it into a binder if you just got a 3-ring binder. So that's included for you. And then this is the first section in the book that you will also receive, is your goals and projections for the year, for your life, all of that good stuff. In the digital download, I did not include dates. I made it completely undated, so that way you could start it, end it whenever you want. So there is a short-term goal page that looks exactly like this, except it doesn't say 2021. And this is for your 1-year goals. So these are all my goals within the year of 2021 for me. So I would recommend this be the page for the goals you want to accomplish this year. They can be savings, they can be debt, they can be personal, they can be like I did percentage, I did just open up a Roth IRA. So like anything budget related you can put here. And then the next page you get is 5-year and long-term goals. And again, I did not include dates here, but this is for the 5 years after this year. And this is for realistically past the 5 years and onward. What are things that you want to be, just what do you think you might want to do in 10 years? And go ahead and write it down, so that way you have it on your mind. I find this to be a really important part about intentional budgeting, and my channel is Intentional Living. So I am trying to be more intentional with my budgeting, and I just have found that when I'm more intentional in certain areas of my life, I do better in those areas. So that is what these pages really hit on. This whole first section really hits on that. And then I included 2 savings goal pages in the printable version. Again, they don't have the 2021. They do say revolving and fixed, because I do have slightly different setups for each. On the revolving, you just have your goal description, 6-month, yearly, and monthly goals. Because they revolve, there's no like really start and end date. You just are always adding money to them. And this is all blank, so you can include any goals that you want. And then on the fixed side of things, you have your goal, the date that you need the money by, or the date of the event, because they're fixed. So like dates, anniversaries, different things that you have to order at certain times of the year. What's the budget you have for that? and when are you going to start and end your savings, and what does that break down to per month then. So that is what this one is. And then you also get a debt payoff goal page, again with no date, and all of this is blank, but you can write out your different debts. What are their interest rates? I took out the year, so what's the starting balance when you're starting to track them? What's your goal end balance at the end of the year, or at the end of whatever time period you're working with? It could be a 6-month goal end balance. And then how much you need to pay per month, and when is your debt-free goal date. So I only give you, 6 slots on this one page. But if you have more than 6 debts, you can just print off multiples of this page. And then you could just have a page here, both of debt. And it just gives you more space to write in. One thing I have struggled with is spacing of lines and how many lines everyone needs. So if you ever have feedback on that, feel free to let me know. Happy to take that into consideration before I come out with a future budget binder. I probably will do a dated one for 2022 just to offer people the option of having a dated one, so I can make any upgrades to that eventually, and then I can update my undated planner as well. So then over here, you also get a recurring due dates page where you can write the different bills and things that you have and when they're due. And I do have some things that are annual, so it's not written on here, but I do pay my mom annually for AAA. I just haven't written it yet because I forget how much I pay her every year. So I just am waiting for her to tell me, and then I'll add that. So if you have annual costs, you can put them here. And if it's a monthly cost, you can put it here. And then if you want to save for it throughout the year, you can put the start and end month. So like for me, for AAA, if it's only like $10 a year, I might just save for it in 1 month and just, save for it. And then you get a year at a glance spread. And this is my favorite page of the entire planner. And I think this is because it helps you set up your sinking funds for the year. So for me, I knew I wanted to launch an Etsy store, so I needed to obviously have savings for that, different dates, and when I need that money by. Any 5-week months for me, I do get paid monthly. So knowing which months I need to have 5 weeks of spending budgeted is really important to me. And there's actually like a ton for me this year in the way that my paychecks fall. So that's really important for me to be prepared for. This is one of my all-time favorite spreads, and I use it a ton, and I use it in other planners that I have as well. So I did include this for you all to have as a planning tool. So then the next pages you will get are these annual trackers. And I included a financial overview or a financial year at a glance in the digital download. I did adjust some of the side columns here. So I gave you an income column. I gave you just a generic savings column. I gave you a debt column. And then I have 3 blanks. So these 3 would all be blank so that you can put anything you want to track. And then the last one is net worth. So that gives you income, savings, debt, and net worth, and then 3 other things for you to track throughout the year. And you could obviously white out one of my columns if you don't like it. Like if you don't have debt, you could just white that out and write whatever you want. But I wanted to include like the staple ones so that y'all didn't have to go in and write it. So that is the year at a glance page. I just started this. So at the end of January, I updated my totals, and I'm really excited to see kind of how they grow throughout the year or get smaller for my debt. So I really, really like this. Next thing I included is a spending tracker for your cash envelopes, and it's totally blank. You can include any spending categories you want and see them throughout the year. How much did you spend out of your wallet? How much did you spend that was unbudgeted? And then how much did you spend out of your sinking funds? So then you can kind of see which months are really high spend months, and that can be useful for next year's budget as you're planning. Okay, the next page in my planner looks a little different from this, but it is a debt payoff plan page. And instead of writing the name of the debt, I just put debt category with like a line, and you can go in and write in what debt you're talking about. And then it has this set up. So you can go in and put, okay, at the beginning of the year, I think I'm going to have this is my starting debt balance for this debt. And this is how much I want to pay per month on that. So that would mean my ending balance is this. And then you can go through and do that for the whole year. So you can get an idea of when you're going to get to 0, or by the end of the year, what's your debt balance going to be. And then at the end of every month, this can be part of your monthly closeout where you go back in and be like, okay, that was my starting balance, but I actually, instead of paying $403, I paid $823. And my actual ending balance was much lower. And so that's my new starting balance. And you can kind of see what your plan was versus what you were actually able to accomplish. And I think this is super, super cool. And I'm really, really excited to be able to offer this in my budget book. So if you want to see an example of how I fill out these trackers, I will link up above my monthly closeout budgets. So you'll see me actually going through and doing it. And I'll also link above when I set this up for the first time. So at the beginning of the year, when you actually saw me talk through it and set it up, I'll link that because that's also a helpful tutorial video. So I did include 2 pages of these. I don't know why, because you could just print the same page twice, but I did. If you buy my budget book, it's 101 pages of budgeting sheets. So you get a ton of pages, and that doesn't even include, I don't include all the months. All the months are undated, so you have to print and like write those yourself. So it's 101 pages with only some of those being the monthly, weekly budgets. So it's a ton of content, and right now it's a really good price on my shop, so go check it out. So next in my budget binder are debt trackers, and I'm currently using somebody else's debt tracker, so I haven't made my own yet or posted those in the shop, but I will be soon. What I do have posted in the shop is a student loan debt payoff trackers, so I did make all of these myself, and these are available in my Etsy store. They're not part of the budget book bundle. They are a separate price, but you can go ahead and get those. So I really like this one. I think it's super cute. So that is in my shop. And the next thing that is part of the budget book bundle is quarterly trackers. So there might be some things you want to track quarterly. One of those things that I think is important is if you have a savings account. So I included a quarterly savings breakdown for an online savings account. So I said online savings account, and then there's a space for you to write in the name of the account. So if you have like an emergency fund account or a long-term savings account that you're building for, you know, like a house down payment or something, you can track it for each quarter. And I know a lot of people who have several different things that they're saving for in their savings account. So that's why I give you 1 page per quarter. So for me, my short-term savings account, I'm going to eventually include these categories. And so I wanted to start tracking them. So they started at this. At the end of March, at the end of quarter 1, I'll go back in and say how much is actually in there, and I'll make sure that matches the account balance on my account. And I do have some money that's just buffer. So that's what this is. So I offered that. Some people might not use it, but some people will. So I wanted to include it since I already had it made. It was really easy to just update. So after that, you'll have a quarterly sinking funds page exactly like this, and except just with no goals in there. So you can have all of your revolving sinking funds listed. And then at the end of each quarter, you can add up what's in there. And then you can go through your trackers and see how much in total did you save in those funds over the year, and how much did you spend. So I included it for revolving and for fixed sinking funds. And then the last one in the quarterly trackers is your quarterly debt payoff, which is kind of redundant because you're tracking that every month. Same with savings, but I just find it interesting to know over the course of the quarter, how much did you pay off and how much is gone. So the way that I'm going to fill these out probably is I'll probably put how much I paid on that card total in the quarter and how much I paid off in that quarter in total. And for savings, I'll probably put how much in total did I save versus how much did I spend. So I haven't obviously used these yet because it's not March, but I will come out with a video about quarterly trackers in March, so you can reference that of how to fill out these pages. But they are offered in the book for you to have. The next thing I offered in the book is ongoing trackers, and I keep these in a separate space now because I just don't use them as much. I do keep them up to date, but these are for tracking sinking funds. So you'll see here I have my car maintenance sinking fund. So yours will say sinking funds tracker, and it will have a category, and you can write in the category. I also added goals, so if you want to add goals to yours, you can. And then for the one I'm selling, the only difference is I don't have these 2 columns. So you have the date that you did something, the description, was it a deposit, a withdrawal, what was it for? And then how much did you put in or take out? And then what's the total amount now in the envelope? This is a personal thing I added because I split up some sinking funds with cash in the envelope versus cash in my savings account. But I did delete that for one of the pages because some people don't use this, but then I did offer it as a second page option. So you'll see 2 pages for sinking funds trackers in my book, and one of them is just like this and one of them's like this. So if you do for certain categories, you put stuff in savings, then you can use that tracker for that category. And for other categories, like for me, boyfriend, I never have anything in the savings account, so I wouldn't need this setup. I could just use these columns. So you get both options in my book. And then the next thing that I offered is a DIY savings challenge. So I put a 26-week savings challenge template that looks exactly like this, but with no numbers in it. So it's totally blank, and you can go in and add what numbers you want to save each week. So it could be 1 to 26. It could be, you know, what, like I did, 5 to 20. It could be whatever amount you want. And then here you would put the total that if you add all those up, how much will you save after 6 months or 26 weeks? So that's just like a DIY savings extra page that I threw in to the book if you want to use it. And then I did include a debt payoff tracker in the book as well, where I just put debt type and you can write the debt in it. And it looks kind of like this. I did adjust it because I don't like how this came out. So it has a place for your date, for your description of like, are you depositing? Are you paying it? How much are you putting in? And then I have the next column is total amount this month. So like, how much have you saved for debt payoff that month? And then I have another column that says total payoff to date. So you could see how much in total you've paid off on your debt since you started. And those columns kind of reflect how I track my debt payoff in my big blue binder. So this envelope is how much I have paid off on debt that month. So I have put $513 towards debt this month. But then my last envelope back here is the total debt I've paid off in total. So I've put $4,017 in total towards debt, except I'm not counting this month yet because I do it once a month. But so that second column would be kind of like how much in total have you put towards your debt overall. So that's all that tracker really tries to reflect, because I don't like what I did for myself here. So I wanted to update it before I gave it to y'all. And these dividers, I also forgot to mention, they are also by the brand Arc, and I will link them down below as well. And then the next section of my binder book is my vacation budget pages, which they're not part of the Undated budget book that we're talking about today, but these pages are available on my Etsy shop if you want to include them in your own budget binder. So these are separate but available. The first thing that you'll get is a monthly spread on 2 pages. So you'll get pretty much exactly this, except the month won't be available here. And you need to purchase the book that you want. So I offer a Monday start like I use, or you can purchase a Sunday start. So it goes Sunday to Saturday. So you have to buy the correct one in my shop to be able to have that. But that's kind of the only difference between what you see here and what's available online. And then you get the monthly budget page, which looks pretty much the same as mine. It has a full side for monthly bills, and then other categories over here. So I included total spending, total sinking funds, total debt, total savings, and then unbudgeted. So they're just kind of in a slightly different order. And this is for you to like just plan out your month. So like, here are the incomes I'm expecting, here are the bills I know have to come out, and then here's the overall categories that I know I want to, how much money for the month is going to go towards them. If you get paid monthly, this is super useful. If you get paid weekly, this could still be useful to track how much you actually spent in the month. So you could fill this out at the end of the month and start with your weekly budgets. And then this is just where you update everything at the end of the month. So anyone can use it, which I like. And then you get monthly budget pages where you get a lot of spots for spending. And I did delete out this column. Let me show you February. Yes. So here what you get is weeks 1 through 4, and the first little part is for under week 1 is for how much you budgeted, and then the second column is for how much you've spent. So you can go in and say like, okay, I budgeted $50 and I spent $50. Cool. And then at the end, you could just add it all up to get your monthly. So again, if you get paid monthly, you could start with the monthly budget and then break it down by week, or you can start with the week and see how much you need for the month. If you get paid weekly, again, you could skip to the weekly pages, and then at the end of the month, come back here to kind of see at one glance how much you spent. So in the online version that I sell, spending is here, and sinking funds, or spending and sinking funds, are on the same page. So that's one small difference. And then on the second page, you get a ton of columns for extra debt and extra savings. So that way, if I didn't leave you enough spaces for sinking funds, you have more spaces. If you have a lot of debt, you get lots of spaces for that. And then you get a small unbudgeted category. So if you did have some unbudgeted things come up, you do have space to log that. So that's the main difference with what I'm selling online. And then you will get a monthly expenses checking account tracker that looks pretty much exactly like this, where you have the date, whatever the transaction was, the category, if it was a withdrawal or a deposit, and then what the ending balance was in your account. So I really like this for because I have a checking account just for my monthly expenses, and then I have a separate checking account just for my weekly discretionary spending. So if you don't have that, it might not be as useful, but it's in there in case you do. And then one thing that's I don't have on here is for any monthly expenses, I do have a cash spending tracker that looks like this for if you are paying any of your monthly expenses in cash. So those pages are available, but you might not need them. So, and then I also included this bonus side hustle budgeting spreadsheet, and I gave you a spending category. So if you got side hustle income that you're putting in your cash envelopes, and then I give you a lot of spaces for sinking funds. And then I give you an other category in case you have some other things like debt or other like account buffers that you want to include. So this is just an extra little page in case you do have a side hustle. You can just use this whenever you get that income. And then you get your weekly budget pages, which will be useful for my folks who get paid weekly to use pretty frequently. So I do give you a weekly check-in page, which just has your spending, your unbudgeted, and then I put other here instead of extra debt because y'all might not have debt. So just real quick, what of your variable spending do you want to get a quick glance at? Typically spending, the goal is not to save that money, it's to spend it. So I don't include sinking funds as part of the weekly check-in. So I do offer this page where you can just kind of see quickly what your monthly totals were for these categories. And then the next thing I have is your weekly breakdown. So there's one of these per week. And again, the month is blank, so you can write that in. And at the top, it'll say weekly income to budget. So you can put your weekly income if you get paid weekly, you can write it right here. And then you can go back to your monthly budget and write like week 1 paycheck and put what you got paid. Then you have a space for spending cash envelopes for you to write out your categories and how much you want in them and what the breakdown of that would be. And then you'll have a whole page of sinking funds. And if it helps, you can add up like what bills you need for just this page, and then we'll do the second page and then you'll add it all up at the end. I just like to add it all up at the end, but I did include this in case like yours is on a separate, not as easy to see or something. So, and then over here, you'll have a ton of spaces for extra debt and extra savings. So again, just free space for you to do with whatever you want with it in case you have more sinking funds or a lot of debt. That can all be over here. And then I put an other category for anything I might have missed. And then you can add up the bills that you need from the bank, what the amounts are, and then overall, how much are you taking out of the bank for that week. So you get one of these per week, and you also get these per week. So you have, I put a week 1 expenses checking account tracker and a week 1 expenses cash spending tracker. And again, you can print out multiple pages of these if you need them. I typically only need 1 per week, so that's all I use. And then you go on and get the same setup for the 4 weeks of the month. And if you purchase my budget book, the really cool thing is that I also include pages for the 5-week months. So for me, January was a 5-week month based on how I get paid. So instead of only having weeks 1 through 4 in my check-in, I need week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a monthly total. So that you're getting those pages as well for 5-week months. And then you get a week 5 breakdown, which again, this looks different than what I have made for y'all. And then a week 5 expense tracker. So that's also included in the price that I am offering on my shop. And then the last pages are your monthly closeout pages. And again, watch some of my old monthly closeout videos to watch me walk through how I fill these out. But you get a debt payoff update where you list all your debts and what your end of month balances are and your payments, and then any extra payments you made, so you can figure out how much in total you put towards debt that month. And then you can look at your progress by the month and by over your entire debt payoff journey. And then you have a net worth tracker where you can list your assets and liabilities and figure out what your net worth is and how much it's changed. And then you get a closeout, a couple closeout pages that involve your spending categories. So are you over under budget, by how much, notes and things for you to list out just to consider for the month. And then you get a page that compares. Instead of writing the names of the month, I wrote last month, this month, and you can go through and compare. And then the last page that is included is seeing a quick debt savings overview, and then your wins and your areas of growth for the month. So again, you get all of that plus the 5-week spreads of if your month has 5 weeks in it. So you're getting access to 101 pages that I custom built for y'all and for me. And hopefully this walkthrough was helpful, and I'll link all the videos you need to see me walking through them with actual numbers. They're all linked up in the info cards, and at the quarterly check-in mark, I will be also updating like how you use the quarterly trackers. So be sure to check out my old videos or all my future videos where I do budget with me's or closeouts or debt updates, and I will be using these pages in those videos so you can see how I actually use them with real numbers. So that is it for today. I will be coming out with a new budget binder just specifically for small businesses and side hustles. So you will be getting access to that eventually on Etsy as well. I just want to use it for a month before I actually list it. So that is coming soon, and I can't wait to share it with you. And if you have bought my book already, write it down in the comments. If you're going to, let me know. Would love to kind of hear why you are purchasing it, if you are, or why you did. But I really appreciate y'all's support, and I just can't wait to continue to offer different sheets and tools that might be helpful for you on your budgeting journey. So I hope y'all have a great day, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.